Hello, ladies. Thank you so much for joining me for today's masterclass. Allow me to introduce myself. My name is Coach Reza Custodio Soriano. I am a Fempower life coach and a creatrix transformologist for women. What is a creatrix transformologist? Many keep on asking me. Well, a transformologist, firstly, works only with women, just like you, and as a transformologist, I work differently from how I am as a life coach. Okay. When I say creatrix transformologist, the methodology that I use for women is that I work on the emotional blocks or the inner blocks of women that keep them stuck or keep them in this sort of holding pattern. Like, no matter whatever you've tried reading so many inspirational books, self-help books, you've been attending all these talks, all these seminars, and no matter what you've been trying, probably some of you have been to counseling or to coaching, but it seems like whatever you attend or whatever you try or whatever you do, even like um you know some have visited psychiatrists or psychologists, the blocks or the issues or the emotional patterns still keep on showing up or still keep on coming back. So as a transformologist, I help women break through these patterns once and for all so that they no longer come back, so that they no longer repeat themselves, and women gain real lasting results, as in years and years of transformation that the old pattern never comes back. Okay, so that's a short introduction for myself. What is it that we're going to be doing for today's masterclass? All right, so the topic that was given to me by the organizers of the Jewels Conference this year is about burnout. Okay, burnout. And this is a very interesting topic because it seems to me that this has been an issue that is coming up more and more, especially in the last year and a half, a year or so. Now that many women are working from home, or majority of us are working from home right now, there is this wall that was taken out. And when I say wall, before it's bahay pamilya and then trabaho, trabaho. But because of the work from home setup, that that line or that wall what came tumbling down. And for a lot of women, the issue was really, I don't know anymore where to draw the line between working and taking care of my family because they're around you 24/7. So, what happens when a woman starts burning out? I think most of you, or a lot of you, can already relate to this one. It's you'll notice that you're starting to burn out when you feel a lot more tired often, when you feel that you no longer have as much energy to take on new challenges or to even focus on the job or even focus on your family. You know that you're starting to burn out when what? You're feeling that you're unable to focus and you're committing a lot more mistakes than before. Burning out is also you're finding your temper running short. Madali ka nang mairita, madali ka nang mainis, madali ka nang ma-trigger ng mga circumstances, whether it's work-related or family-related. And for those of you who are moms listening right now, or parents for that matter, kadalasan nagiging brunt, or the one who receives the brunt of the diminished temper or the diminished patience would be, unfortunately, your kids and your spouse. All right. Burning out also means like it really feels like a candle that is slowly melting away. Okay. So I'm giving you typical examples of how burnout feels like. But the point of my talk, it's easy to Google what burnout is. You can just easily Google the symptoms. But the point of my talk for today's masterclass is to help us understand why we reach that point of burnout. Why we reach that point where we are unable to push ourselves further, or why we even have reached that place where it sometimes there's parang point of no return or not turning back. Okay. In the introduction for Jules, they said I will give you the scientific whatever, but I decided I will simplify it. I will simplify it so that it is easily digested or understandable for all of us here in the room. Does it sound good? If that sounds good, just let us know in the comments or give me a thumbs up and say, Coach Reza, sounds good. All right? Sounds good. Great. Okay. Let's move on. What I'm going to be sharing with you today would be coming from the precept or the thinking that your inner world creates your outer world. Or whatever is in your inner world just reflects back in your life outside. So what am I talking about? I want to share with you what I have been studying because I am currently finishing my triple certification in feminine power. So that's feminine power coaching, facilitation, and leadership in the US. Obviously, I'm doing it online right now, right? So in my study of feminine power, and I've been studying it for about, my goodness, 3 years already. I've been studying it for 3 years already. There is what we call the feminine transformational matrix. And this is just one of 3 books that I am studying. Okay? The feminine transformation matrix, and this is very beautiful. This is from the work of Dr. Claire Zammit, who has a PhD in working with women and studying how women think or how women behave. Okay? In the transformation matrix, it is a very unique study that was made because it's able to map out the term is strategies, or it's able to map out the reasons why women have these issues of feeling stuck or stuckness, and also why women have this feeling of separation. When I say separation, it's like this certain detachment or certain inability to feel buo, and to really feel connected with herself. Okay? So there are many patterns that are identified in the transformation matrix. There are 21. Okay, there are 21 patterns. And when I say patterns, these are normally the identities that a woman would unconsciously latch onto because of her upbringing or because of how she was trained, raised by her family, by the culture of yung family, yung clan, pwedeng yung town nila or yung city nila. Okay, so there are many factors. But what happens because of these patterns? These patterns affect how a woman or how you show up in life. These patterns are difficult to break free from because number one, they are largely invisible or unknown, or in other words, we are not aware that we have these patterns, but they keep on operating in our lives. So that's the first one, why these patterns are difficult to break. And second, most likely because these patterns are nakatali sa identity natin or how we see ourselves or how we see our lives. Okay? So what I'm going to be explaining to you, just to clarify, when I say patterns, these are things that keep on happening in our lives paulit-ulit, in different times, in different scenarios. And then some of us, or most of us, think that these patterns are coming from outside. It's like they seem to be happening to us. People break their word. You cannot trust people to work closely with you. You cannot rely on people. Mahirap kausapin ng mga tao, etc., etc. These are patterns, and the perception is they're coming from outside. But ladies, I'd like to share to you, the reality is when things happen to us, they do not happen coming from the outside and they're going to us. The reality is, tas parang feeling natin pag ganun nang nangyayari, we don't have any control. Like, nangyayari siya eh, wala akong magagawa eh. No. Actually, the truth is we are holding these patterns inside of us. That's why they keep on happening over and over again. I will say that one more time. These patterns we hold inside of us. That's why they keep on happening over and over again. But we don't realize it. We don't realize it. This might sound parang, huh? So everything that's been happening to me, kasalanan ko? Everything that I've been going through, it's because I created it? So bear with me, hold on first. It might feel discouraging or disheartening, but actually, it's empowering. Knowing that the pattern is inside of you and not outside of you is empowering, because if it's inside of you, does that mean you can do something about it? Yes or no? If it's outside of you, hindi mo control. But if it's inside of you, yes, magagawan mo ng paraan. Yes, you can do something about it. We cannot see them at this point, or how we're creating these patterns, but once it's brought to our awareness, and we start seeing how we are contributing to making these patterns happen over and over again in our lives, that's when we realize, ito pala yun. Na I have been, living in a life, or this life that is the old story. Because when I say old story, kasi nangyari na siya before, and you have the power to create the new story. Okay? And a lot of times, they are linked to the kind of identities that we have for ourselves or with ourselves, okay? And in the study of feminine power, there were tens of thousands of women who were interviewed and studied to be able to identify these patterns. And of course, when you're researching and you're doing a lot of in-depth study, definitely these patterns will start showing up. These similarities start cropping up. So what am I saying? I'm saying that these patterns are not just limited to us Filipino women. These patterns actually manifest in women all over the world. Okay? So, hindi tayo nag-iisa dun sa mga suliranin or dun sa mga problema na nangyayari sa mga babae. Okay? So, when I discuss with you these false identities, and when I say false identities, right, these are the identities that we might have latched onto unknowingly while we're growing up, but they do not represent who the real woman is inside of us. Because the real woman inside of us is the woman who was created by God in His image and likeness. The woman who was created out of love. The woman who was created to become whole. The woman who was created to be able to orient herself towards the good. Okay? So, there are three, so diba sabi ko, there are 21 identities in the transformation matrix, but let's focus only on the top 3. Okay? These top 3 identities would apply, and I will give you descriptions later, would apply to several factors on why burnout happens to us. Okay? So, this is exciting. This is the first time I'm going to be sharing about this one. And even as I continue to study it, I still get amazed. So remember what I said kanina, when burnout hits a woman when she's already doing so many things that her body's no longer able to cope, and that she's starting to make more mistakes, her temper is running short, she gets upset, and that, that temper starts to affect those immediately around her, or even, her colleagues. So, Let's go straight to the identities. I want to focus on that one, and you will see why these false identities can lead to burnout. Okay? The first false identity is I'm invisible. I'm invisible has other manifestations like I don't exist, I'm not seen, or I'm not viewed as important. Okay? So when I give you the description, I want you to listen carefully and then reflect where in your life could you be probably associating with these false identities. Are you ready? Say, I'm ready, Coach Reza. All right, let's start. Okay. So, women who have the I'm invisible patterns may show up through the following. Okay. Number one, she could be disconnected with her own feelings. Okay, let me just rephrase that. You could be disconnected with your own feelings, needs, and desires, meaning they are invisible to you, which means you are not aware of them, or you have been disregarding them or pushing them aside. Kaya this one creates a sense of dissatisfaction in your relationships because there is this feeling that you need something or that you're wanting something but you're unable to identify it, or you're even unable to acknowledge it or face it because you're disconnected from your own self. Okay? Next, you may be showing that you're not asserting your feelings. You're not asserting what you're needing or desiring in your life, even if you're aware of them. Like, alam mong meron kang ganitong nararamdaman, meron kang ganitong gusto, meron kang nais sanang gawin, and yet, you don't prioritize it or you don't make it important. Okay? You don't make it known. Next, you place your first attention on others. You make others always the priority. And in doing so, your own self disappears entirely. Kailangan sila lang lahat ang uunahin. Wag na ako. So you end up disappearing, even to yourself. Kaya nagkakaroon ng disconnection. Next, you find yourself doing chronic, selfless service. When I say chronic, parati na lang. Palagi na lang serve sa iba. You can't help it. You just can't help it, but you just need to always selflessly serve. So what happens is that you rarely create situations or opportunities for the fulfillment of your own needs. You hardly or rarely create situations where you are putting yourself first. I'm glad nga that you're here now in the master class. I'm glad you're here at Jules, because that's an indication that you are desiring for learning, you are desiring to put yourself first. Or, lastly, how do you show up in life when you have that identity of being invisible? You might frequently disappear or bail out. E-eskapo ka na lang sa mga relationships with little or no explanation. Bigla ka na lang mag-ghosting, sabi nga ng mga Gen Z. Mga ghosting ka naman, magtatago ka na lang, hindi ka na magpapakita. Kasi you would think na hindi naman nila ako siguro mapapansin pag wala na ako. Or hindi naman siguro akong ganun ka-importante, kaya okay lang na hindi na ako magpakita or hindi na ako mag-show up sa grupo or dun sa group chat namin, for example. So that's how you might show up. On the flip side of life naman, that's how you might show up, no? Others naman, how they interact with you or not interact with you would be the following. So, the way you carry yourself has an effect on other people. What does this look like? Others might completely be unaware of what you're feeling. They might be completely clueless kung ano yung mga pangangailangan mo or ano ba talaga yung gusto mo. Kasi nasanay sila na inuuna mo sila. That's why thinking about your needs, thinking about your feelings is never in their priority, or it's not even in their own awareness. So they end up disregarding you, they end up looking over, as in look na, gosh, sa Tagalog term, basta they skip over you. Na hindi ka na pinapansin, na hindi ka na tinatanong kumusta ka na, hindi ka tinatanong anong gusto mo, anong kailangan mo. Okay? So these people, the others, might end up, because you always give attention to them firstly, what happens is these people would always have their attention on themselves. They would only be thinking of themselves. And when you suddenly presence, so the term yung, when you presence yourself, for example, napuno ka, you suddenly voice out yung frustration mo, or you suddenly, blurt out what you're feeling, you're disappointed, hindi ka pinapansin, you're taking me for granted, for example. Nagugulat sila and they actually find it bothersome or shocking or even offensive that you're expressing yourself suddenly. When for the longest time you're not doing that. You're breaking this unspoken contract or this unspoken dynamics na parating sila yung importante, ikaw hindi, tapos biglang magpapakita ka or mag-express ka, parang na-off sila sa ganun. Others will be confused or hurt when you leave or end the relationship. Maano sila, ano kaya yung ginawa ko? Ano ba yung ginawa ko para biglang ginost na lang ako or hindi na lang siya magpakita? So, for the single ladies out there, maano sila, ano kaya yung ginawa ko? Ano ba yung ginawa ko para biglang ginost na lang ako or hindi na lang siya magpakita? So, for the single ladies out there, please take note. Please take note, okay? Others would also feel abandoned when you disappear or when you don't show up or you pull your attention away from them. Why will they feel abandoned or why will they get hurt? Because they got so used to you giving all the attention to them. Tuloy, when you suddenly pull away from them, they're like, ano naman niya gagawin yun sa akin? Akala ko ba she cares for me? Akala ko ba importante ako sa kanya? Ba't niya ginawa yun? Kasi nga, wala siyang ka-idea ko pa ano yung nararamdaman mo. Iniisip lang nila yung sarili nila. So, lastly, how will others react around you? When they're around you and you have this identity of I'm invisible, others would feel more, I'm important. I'm a VIP. I'm more seen or I'm more felt. And they actually enjoy it because they are given more attention to side by side with a woman who does not want attention or feels that she's invisible or does not want to be seen. In other words, na-enjoy nila magpabida or nag-enjoy sila magpasikat kasi there is this other person, this woman, who is actually unconsciously giving them permission to be sikat. I'm going to give you time to absorb everything that I've said. Because I'm going to share with you ano yung posibleng beliefs that you might have about others. So you could be thinking, others don't care about me, others are so selfish, others wouldn't even care if I just disappeared or ghosted them, it doesn't matter. Or you might even think about life na the way you see life is it's dangerous to be seen, it's not safe to be seen, or it's not safe to make my presence known, it's not safe to make myself heard, or people don't need what I have to offer. The world does not care of what gifts or talents I have that I have to offer. So pwedeng ganun yung tingin mo sa buhay. Next, how do you live your life, okay? And when I say how do you live your life, it's living it in a way that you are generating evidence to perpetuate or validate this identity, this false identity. Now, for example, I'm invisible, or I'm not seen, or I don't exist. So, listen carefully. Unang-una, you might be asking for what you want or need in ways that are demanding or attacking. Because nga, there is this hidden assumption na other people don't care about you, or they don't care much about what you feel or what you need. That's why when you ask or demand for something, it's sapilitan, without giving them the chance to even demonstrate that they really do care for you. Next, you might be disappearing when you feel that your needs aren't met, rather than outright and just plainly asking for it. Yung, ayaw mo? O di wag, alis na lang ako. Or, ayaw makinig sa akin? Or ayaw niyo akong bigyan ng oras or ng pansin? Di na ako magsasalita. Di na ako magpapakita. Next, you might not be able to represent yourself in a way to make others really know who you are. You might not be representing yourself in a way to make others really know what your needs are. Why? You could be showing that you're very busy, making asikaso everyone else. You're showing that you're trying to handle all of these things, and when people try to offer you help, you say, ako na, hindi, kaya ko to. Ako nang bahala. Kaya nagbo-burn out, di ba? Trying to be a superwoman for everyone and in everything. Okay. You may also redirect the conversation to keep the focus on others so that it's never about you, or so that you don't end up talking about yourself or sharing about yourself. Huwag na natin pag-usapan ako, ikaw na lang muna. Sige, ikaw, magkwento ka. Hindi na importante yung nangyayari sa akin. Ang gusto ko marinig, ano ba talaga yung nangyayari sa'yo? Sounds familiar? Okay. Next. Ito, I mentioned this earlier. You might be engaging in chronic selfless service to the point of exhaustion, to the point of depletion. And you are rarely expressing what you really need. Yung kinikim-kim mo na lang siya, tinatago mo na lang siya because ayaw mong makaabala ng ibang tao. Pasan ko ang daigdig. This was thinking back in the 90s, yung the woman who can have it all, right? And the woman, you deserve to have it all. I was talking to the founder of Mommy Mundo, and she interviewed me for her podcast because it was that thinking, can women really have it all? Yeah, because the realization is that's not true. Women who try to push and push and push to do everything to have it all will only end up feeling burnt out, would only end up feeling depleted because she's trying to do so many things at the same time. She's trying to have it all. Ang naging discussion pa namin is maybe she's also trying to cover up for something, or she's trying to cover up for a lack. That's why she's trying to get it all. Understand what I'm saying? Next, you're waiting passively for someone to discover you. Oy, single women again in the house, listen carefully. You might just be waiting and say, yeah, bahala na si Lord. When the right man is there for me, he will just make him fall on my lap, or he will just make the man suddenly appear before me, or suddenly appear in my Facebook feed. It's waiting for passively for someone na kailangan ako ang ma-discover, instead of you presenting yourself and showing up in life. Okay? Ano pa? You might be creating relationships where only one person gets the attention, when only one person gets fully seen, requiring tuloy that the other disappears completely at nakakalimutan yung needs and desires niya entirely. Okay? Tapos ano pa? Lastly, you may be hurt and resentful when others don't automatically see your unexpressed needs and desires versus the way you see them. Wow, interesting, di ba? You might be hurtful and resentful pag hindi nila nagigets yung kailangan mo. Kasi ikaw gets na gets mo yung kailangan nila at binibigay mo. Pero sumasama ang loob mo kasi bakit sila hindi nila pinapansin yung pangangailangan ko, hindi man lang ako tinatanong. Okay, so, what to do if you have this false identity? There are skills and capacities that you can learn to cultivate. There are skills and capacities within yourself that you can decide today to work on so that you can evolve beyond that false identity. For a woman who has the I'm invisible, I'm not seen, I don't exist false identity, you can build the following. You can build the ability to recognize, name, and identify your own needs, your feelings, and desires. That's one. Number two, you can grow the ability to just be a witness to your own self, to recognize that you are important, that you are worthy to be seen. Okay? Next, you can also develop the ability to just ask. To ask and express what you need, what you desire, what you feel in a way that is not forceful, that is not demanding, but in a way that would inspire other people to want to step up to help you and serve you and assist you in any way possible. Next, you can also develop the ability to speak about who you are and what you have to offer in ways na talagang nilalabas yung galing mo. Nilalabas yung galing mo. Therefore, instead of being invisible, you get invited to participate, to join groups, to be appointed to positions of leadership, to be appointed in ways of where you are more seen rather than you are being invisible. Okay? Because you are expressing what you can do or what you would like to offer to others. Okay? Rather than napipilitan ka lang because that's what you feel others need, but it's actually not your gift or not your calling. Next, you would like to develop the ability to anticipate your own needs and to create structures or create possibilities or ways para naman ma-fulfill yung needs mo. Para naman paminsan-minsan ikaw yung nauuna at ikaw yung nabibigyan ng attention and importance. And lastly, you can also develop the ability to create relationships where yung sarili mong pangangailangan, yung mga sarili mong gusto, at yung mga sarili mong desires ay papansinin. Okay? So, yung needs ng iba at saka yung needs mo, they can all be present in one place. Hindi siya imbalance, hindi yung ibang tao lang. It's possible to have a relationship where both exist. Your needs and their needs. Their needs get addressed, your needs get addressed. So it's a mutual beneficial relationship. Even if you're incompatible, if you have differences in personalities, difference in needs, difference in priorities, that's not the point. The point is you are able to have both parties in a balance. Okay? Okay. So, That's the first one. I'll share with you two more. Bilis ng oras, no? Bilis ng oras. Okay. The second one is the false identity of I'm not enough. Yung I'm not enough, how you may be showing up in life, you might be chronically self-sacrificing and always other-directed. So what happens is that you're rarely satisfied because you're focused on other people's needs and or other people's standards of success or standards of perfection. You're trying to comply with other people's standards. Okay? So, pag meron kang I'm not enough na false identity, you feel that you are responsible for other people's happiness. You feel that you're responsible for other people's satisfaction and fulfillment. Kaya na-burn out. I know of this woman. She's trying so hard to please her mom. Feeling niya, hindi masaya yung mommy niya, bilang anak, feeling niya kailangan siya yung magpasaya sa nanay niya. Feeling niya it's her own sole responsibility to create happiness in her mom. Where in the Bible is it written that you have to make other people happy by yourself? Where is it in the Bible that says that happiness is the responsibility of one person towards the other and not an individual's responsibility to create his or her own happiness? I'm not enough. Lumalabas din, you might feel that you have to do more than everyone else to get the same amount of recognition, to be able to get the same amount of success. Kaya nababurn out kasi I have to do more. Kailangan kong karirin. Kailangan kong galingan parate para lang mapansin ako at para lang ituring akong successful or magaling. Okay? Some of you might actually be showing up believing that you exist to please other people. Those of you, the younger people, the younger ladies listening right now, you might be living your life believing that you exist to please your parents' desires or standards. And as long as you're not hearing praises or you're not hearing good feedback from your parents, you feel that you're not enough. You feel that your efforts are always kulang. Sounds familiar? This is all about awareness. I'm not trying to hit on anyone directly here. I'm just here to grow your awareness, to be able to make you say, ganun pala yun. Okay, others. I'm not enough. You might be committing to things that don't satisfy you. You might be committing to things because you're forced to do it. Or you're forced because someone imposed it on you. Or someone dictated that you should be doing so and so. So you might be sobrang diligent to care for the needs and the upsets of others. Kung nagagalit yung isang tao, parang feeling mo it's your responsibility para pahapuin yung galit niya or pakalmahin siya. And you end up feeling frustrated because your own feelings are not, again, being taken care of or not being given any attention. Ano pa? Ito, feeling of I'm not enough. You might tend to overeat or even to undereat or starve yourself. Overeat, trying to compensate, trying to fill that void inside of you. Undereat, sacrifice, pagpipigil, I will control myself, I'll stop myself. But you end up weak. Diba? You're working hard na nga, but you're not nourishing yourself properly. So you're underfed. You're depriving your body. Okay? I'm not enough also. You might be feeling as if you never have enough time, never have enough money, never have enough resources, never have enough love. That's why you try to do so many things, trying to fill that feeling of being not enough. Ayan, nababurn out. Okay? Ano pa? Yung I'm not enough, you are jack of all trades. You are trying to do so many things. Ito, kaya mo bang gawin? Yes po, kaya kong gawin yan. Ito, kailangan namin to. Ito ba, kaya mo rin gawin? Yes, kaya kakayanin ko rin yan. Pipilitin ko lang yan, sir. Pipilitin ko lang yan, ma'am. Gagawin ko lahat. Okay, so it's again trying to compensate and fill the needs of others. And sometimes you end up giving up on things. You haven't even achieved a certain level of mastery or expertise. Yung sinubukan mo lang ng konti, bitaw na kagad. Next, kaya nagiging jack of all trades. Kaya mastery of nothing. And what happens? You also frequently find yourself burdened by so many obligations pulling you in all directions. Pulling you here, pulling you there, sa bahay, sa office, sa barkada, sa community mo, sa women's group mo, wherever, because you're saying yes to everything. Okay? So, but to others naman, what happens naman? What's the effect on other people? Doon sa mga may I'm not enough na false identity. They feel like no matter what they do to show much love and respect and care for you, they feel like it's never enough for you. Kahit anong tumbling ang gawin nila para ipakita sa'yo, feeling mo, kulang pa rin. Hindi yun hindi pa rin Okay? What happens? Because you are trying to always fulfill and compensate and try to make others happy, other people will end up being overly dependent on you. Lahat na lang iaasa sa'yo. Kasi ikaw naman yung tanging parating sumasalo at nagpupuno ng kulang. Okay? Others would also learn to feel entitled to make you do more and pay you less. Or they insist that you do more and give you so little time to finish something. Or they insist that you have to accomplish much, even at work, trying to please others because you feel like I'm not enough. You might end up getting so many projects assigned to you, but you don't get promoted. Or your pay is not adjusted. Pero salo ka pa rin ng salo ng bagong responsibilities, bagong roles. Kaya burnout. Okay? What happens? Others feel frustrated and irritated with you. Kasi when they see that you're so overloaded, overburdened with so many things, you're unable to deliver. You're unable to be realistic and deliver things on time. Or when you do deliver things on time, minsan ang daming mali or subpar yung quality. Understand what I'm saying? So what happens? They will not trust you to keep your word on what you say or what you're going to do. You will lose integrity. Because, ito na naman kung oo lang na oo, hindi naman niya kaya. Presenta ng presenta, volunteer ng volunteer. Ang dami pa niyang mga ibang bagay na ginagawa. Others might also feel that you're settling for them because wala na ibang magtsatsaga sa kanila. Ikaw, salo ko pa rin ng salo, okay? So what's this hidden belief that you might have for yourself? You might say, others don't value me. Others expect so much more for me versus what I can really do for them. Others always want more from me versus what I can give. Okay? And what's the belief about life? That there's never enough to go around and to survive. Never enough time, money, attention, resources, love, etc., etc. Okay? So what are the skills and capacities that you can learn to be able to evolve beyond this false identity of I'm not enough? One, it's the ability to deeply be present with yourself and again, connect with your own needs. Parang si I'm invisible. It's really connecting to your own needs and desires and to accurately be able to assess ano ba talaga yung totoong value na pwede kong ibigay na hindi ako nauubos or hindi ako nawawalan. Na hindi ako masyadong nagsasakripisyo at the expense of my health, my time, my body, my sleep. Okay? It is also the ability to give yourself first, or pay attention to yourself first before you give to others. It's also the ability to be able to receive love, receive appreciation, receive support from others. Okay? It's also the ability to set boundaries and say no, to put limits, and to turn down or say no to those things that do not inspire you or are not aligned with your values or not aligned with your strengths or your capabilities. Okay? And lastly, you can also build the capacity to mirror and validate your own existence, your own self as somebody precious, as somebody valuable, and not as somebody who is available for the madlang bayan or somebody who's not available for all the men there. You understand what I'm saying? It's giving value to yourself so that you are not depleting yourself. Okay? Lastly, okay, wow. Ang bilis ng oras, ladies, no? Okay, lastly, the last self or false identity is I'm alone. Ang theme song nitong I'm Alone is on my own, pretending he's beside me. On my own, I'm all alone, okay? So how do you show up when you are alone? You might be experiencing a form of chronic depression or a deep sense of sadness. Parang feeling mo, parang never ako makaka-connect sa ibang tao. Never ako makaka-relate deeply with them on a very significant and meaningful level. You might rarely ask for support. Or you might be asking it in ways that might be very alienating to others. When I say alienating, it's yung demanding, complaining, whining, or it could also be the style na pasimple, padaplis lang, yung nag-hint-hint ka tapos hindi nila magigets. So, I'm alone manifested, you are chronically under-supported or not supported at all. Because you end up doing things alone. We end up starting and finishing alone. You might feel you're unable to bring out yung gifts and yung talents mo to the world. You feel like yung galing mo, nakatago lang deep inside. Because you feel like no one else is relating with you or connecting with you. How else can you be manifesting this one? You might rarely feel like you are with your own tribe or your people. If you don't feel like you're part of this inclusive group. So, anong effect nito sa iba? Okay? Others might find you unapproachable. Others might find it difficulty in supporting you or offering ways or finding ways to be able to help you or support you. Others might even assume that you don't need anything because you make it appear na carry ko na to, kayang-kaya ko na to, guys. Okay, handle ko na to. Huwag na kayong mag-abala. So they will not offer any help because feeling nila, kayang-kaya mo na lahat. Others might even give up on including you. Stop inviting you to events. Stop inviting you to join them in whatever activity because they feel that you're not available, that you're too busy, or sometimes kasi you just don't show up. Okay? So, what is a hidden belief that you might have? You might have this inner belief that other people always leave, other people always move away or stay away, or other people don't give me what I need from them, other people never bother to help me or to ask me. So, anong nangyayari? Paniniwala mo tungkol sa life? Life is sad. Life is lonely. Life is being alone. How do you possibly generate ways or evidence that validates yung pagka-I'm alone mo? So you avoid joining groups, you avoid joining communities. You prefer to just do things alone. Babasa na lang ako, magsa-self-help book na lang ako. I will just, work on myself to improve myself. Pagdating sa prayer time, sarili ko na lang prayer time, alone time. Yung me time mo, 24/7. No, joke lang. So you just work by yourself at home. You rarely catch up with the zumustahans or the chikahans or the inumans, whatever that is. So when you are part of a group, if ever you're part of a group, you rarely even participate as a member. Kailangan parati ka na lang behind the scenes, nasa sideline, silent worker, just doing an assignment on your own. You end up what? Isolating and separating yourself from others. Even when there are others around you, you will stay detached. You might be checking your phone, you might be working on your laptop. And then when others do invite you, you end up frequently saying, I'm busy eh. Or, wala na akong time eh. Or parang, I'm too tired, hindi ko na kaya. Pwedeng wag na lang. Or pwedeng next time na lang. And then you don't show up. People get tired of inviting you, or they just end up not thinking about you anymore because you always just shy away and disappear. Okay? What else? You might not be making requests for support even if you desperately need it already. Yung hapong-hapo ka na pagod ka na pero hindi ka pa rin hihingi ng tulong. You might even be engaging in addictions that will keep you isolated from others. Mobile Legends, mag-isa. Alam mo sa Mobile Legends kasi diba, yung sa mga online games, you can have an identity and people will not really know you. Pwedeng ganyan. Or you might be like, doing KonMari in your house every week or every month, right? Basta you're doing things just to keep yourself busy and isolated from others. Okay? You might also be designing your life around being self-sufficient. I will work so hard so that I'm earning so much that I'm not depending on any other guy for money. I'm going to be working so hard. I'm going to be stocking up my house so hindi na ako kailangan humingi ng tulong sa iba. Magbibili ako ng grocery, kakargahin ko yung ilang kilo, ilang kaba ng bigas, ilang dilata na sobrang bigat, kakayanin ko yan. Kasi malakas naman ako, kakayanin ko yan. Okay. Anyway, you might be in relationships. Pag nagka-conflict, you will leave. You will just, pag nako-conflict or na-challenge, you will just turn around and leave instead of deepening the relationship and creating an understanding between you and the other person. You'd rather just, again, cut the relationship and just be alone again. Or extreme version is, you're in a relationship and you will just stay in that relationship for the long run and not grow, not evolve because you can't bear the feeling of abandoning the other or leaving the other. So mag-isa ka nang titiisin mo. Even if the relationship has long been gone. Hindi mo haharapin pero pipilitin mong magstay even if there's no more emotional connection. And lastly, you might be overly loyal to people who have long outgrown you. You might be sticking around with people who no longer actually help you grow. There might be this fear that if you let go of this relationship, you'll be alone forever in life. Okay? So, last na to. What are the skills and capacities that you can create to be able to evolve beyond this I'm not enough na false identity at para hindi ka nababurn out? Again, it's creating a deep connection with yourself. Noticing and identifying what your needs are, what your feelings and desires are. So that you're no longer alone and disconnected, but you are with yourself. Disconnected ka na nga sa iba, pati sa sarili mo, disconnected ka. So you can learn that capacity or that ability. You can also have this capacity to be authentic and transparent about your feelings, about your needs. And you can share that with others so that they can hear you, they can see you, they can feel you and understand you deeper. You can also grow in this ability to be able to ask support from others, to make them understand what is it exactly that you need, what is it that you exactly that they can exactly give or contribute to make the situation work for the better. This is also the ability of, listen carefully, the ability of letting go of control, allowing others to see the real you, allowing others to love and support you, to be able to give them the time and the space in your life so that you're not dealing with life alone. And also, you can develop the ability and capacity, again, to enjoy the attention of others, to appreciate the ways people are trying to connect with you, trying to care for you, trying to make you feel that they really are sincere, even if it feels weird, even if parang ano ba tong attention na binibigay sa akin, nakaka-awkward. That's something that, again, no, that's a growth point, something we can learn to embrace. The ability to tolerate periods of loss with a sense of authentic faith in the overall goodness of life. So there will be a time that you might feel disconnected and alone, but there is also that chance to be able to see that life in general, you are actually never alone. There is always God who is with you. There is always God who is listening to you 24/7. There is always the Lord who's got your back. And when you open your heart to yourself, you also open your heart to Him. He will hear your pains, He will see your suffering, He will listen to your loss. And when you open your heart to let Him in, your heart's capacity to love, your heart's capacity to grow, will reach that point when you are capable and you have that capacity to welcome others in your life. So there you go, dear ladies. I shared with you the three main false identities in women, which keeps us stuck or stopped. That's why we end up having burnout, no? Yung I'm invisible, I'm not enough, and I'm not alone. But remember, these are false identities. And take note of the skills or the capacities that I shared with you, how you can overcome them. I hope this has been very fruitful and educational and helpful for all of you ladies. If you are realizing something deep about yourself, and if you felt na I want to learn how to really overcome and truly overcome these issues that I've been identifying myself with, or these false identities that I have been living, these lies that I have been living in my life, that's why I've been stuck, that's why I've been burning out, that's why I've been pushing myself and not receiving anything in return, please feel free to contact me. Please feel free to reach out. I'm on Facebook. You can go to my page, FemPower with Coach Reza, FEMMEPOWER, FemPower with Coach Reza, or you can search on Instagram, FemPowerPH. Feel free to send me a DM. I always reply to the messages, and maybe I can help you. We can work together to have those real, lasting, and permanent breakthroughs in your life. Thank you so much, sisters. Thank you so much, ladies. It's been an honor sharing with all of you. May you have an empowering Jewels Conference. God bless. This has been Coach Reza.